Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Rock Stardust. Hope you've had a good week and doing well out there. Look, today we are having a look at bands that, for me, define the sound of Australia. So, when you play these records, it feels like you can really identify with the landscape. So it's more than just iconic Australian bands. These bands really soak up what the land, the defining the time, just the experience. It soaks up all of that Australiana, and that's coming from a Kiwi. So for me, before I ever visited Australia, I could relate to it through these albums. There was something magical about it. And of course, you've got tracks from Icehouse like Great Southern Land that really do define that. But the thing about that Icehouse album is that's not the whole album. It's really just defined to one track. For me, these whole albums work, and they are iconic Australian bands. It's like the sound of summer too, coming into some better weather. So let's kick it off with the magnificent Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust. This is just one example, but it's a very good example because the sound has a lot of space to it, and it's a barren looking album cover too, isn't it? Look at that. So it's got the desert and everything, like that whole outback Aussie thing. And the messages too, like Beds Are Burning, obviously with that, about the Aboriginal plight. So well done, and such powerful messaging, that you get. And so, Put Down That Weapon is another great example. It's got that spaciousness, but there's just that brooding power to it, but it has that feel, dream world. So good. And, you've got the brilliant guitar there from Jim Magoni and Martin Rotzi. You've got that unique, edgy sound that's quite unique, with Peter Garrett's lyrics and unique voice. Obviously, brilliant drumming as well. And that's no doubt about it. You've got Rob Hurst there, right? And the bass player, who I can't think of his name, but he played for Split Enz as well. He's actually super underrated. Brilliant stuff. And then it doesn't get any more Australiana and that feeling of the dusty, then, the heat, the humidity, than the Dead Heart, right? Do 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 do, with the acoustic guitars there. That is so iconic. Doesn't get any better than that, right? So Midnight Oil, without a doubt. Up next, I've got Aussie Crawl, right? Sons of Beaches. What a classic debut album, and the cover says it all again. You got the beaches there. There's something very surfy about Australian Crawl that takes you to the beach, takes you, to that Aussie summers, and really defines it. So there's a cool image on the back too, sort of like a, mangrovey kind of location. So yeah, they say a lot just from the artwork, right? But this one's got, Daughters of the Northern Coast, which defines that whole summer beach, Australian classic lifestyle. And these guys really, really, really lived it, They were from Melbourne. They travelled everywhere, and they were they defined that surfy band, of Australia. Downhearted's a great song too. I really like Grinning Bellhops as well. This Shut Down. This is actually a really cool album. It's a very good debut. It often goes under the radar. They did a lot of great work, but that vocal from James Rain is very much Australian, and it just has such a unique quality. doesn't sound like anyone else. And there's the other fellow on the album too, which should get some credit because he sang quite a few tracks as well. Was Guy Madonna, and he did a lot of singing too. So he, not as much as James Rain, but a lot of their biggest songs were him singing as well. So he was a big part of that. And you had Simon Binks on guitar. I think one of the most underrated guitar players from Oz. Really, really class. So yeah, that surfy beach, Australiana sound, Aussie crawl, it doesn't get any better than that really. And guys, I hope you're enjoying this vid. If you do, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate that. It's grown a cool community. And if you've got any other examples, there's plenty out there. Chuck them in the comment section, all your thoughts on these. So, last but not least, the mighty Cold Chisel. My favourite Cold Chisel album, I think it's their masterpiece, Circus Animals, right? How good. And that's them on the back of the caravan. And this was filmed in an incredibly remote location. I was reading the book about it, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It's extremely hot. You can see the caravan there, the sparseness. What comes through on the album is just that incredible space that you get with the Circus Animals album. So much space, just with the drumming and, you know, Mossy's awesome guitar playing, the sparse keys from Don Walker piano, and obviously Jimmy Barnes. It has a ruggedness and a iconic Australian feel to it, which is just remarkable. And this is just powerful. It's them on the loose. It's not so much a studio. Okay, we've got to keep everything tight. They've got more freedom, and that's where you get such incredible songs. And you know, kicking off with "You Got Nothing I Want," Bow River doesn't get much more Australia than that. You know, based on the concept of Alice Springs, Ross River, where Mossy's from. Forever Now, which is classic. Taipan, got that spacey tribal drumming from Steve Presswich, and it's Taipan Snake, right? So again, you always think of Australia as every second thing can kill you over there, you know, and they've got snakes, and we don't. But that's the classic, you know. Taipan, Hound Dog, a lot of travelling there, a lot of going up the coast, that sort of stuff, and the lyrics too have a definitive quality about experiencing those parts of Australia, and as do the other two examples I've given too. There's a lot of reference to Australia, but this, nothing more iconic than the way Cold Chisel will do it. So that Hound Dog has got so much quality to it because it defines, you know, that time, and it defines the locations, you know, when they were on the road and stuff like that. So, you know, I'll bring an example of that up because I always like singing along this part because it's when it comes into that bit where Mossy takes over on the vocal, and I love the way they share the vocals so well. And he's talking about, you know, ride the line to Hornsby Station, find my circus animals again. Yeah, don't need no communication through the ghost towns and fade away. And then I'm outside, you know, kicks in. So good. Railway, don't come out here no more. You feel that that remote part of Australia where it's hot and it's dusty and sweaty, you know. And then it changes up to, and it's cold, right? It's interesting. But they go through Nambucca, up the coast, the grass is green and the girls are sweeter. I did it all the last 10 summers. Leave the waves and change the culture. Choose a far off name that suits you. You know, and then going into these other places. Iconic, Bali, Bangkok, Overland, Asian Highway, Amsterdam. It's brilliant. And then obviously on side 2, Wild Colonial Boy. You know, the big mining companies taking over. people losing their jobs. It's that sort of capitalism, and it's a great example of that. And small town Australia being impacted, and when the war is over, such an iconic cultural song. And I will do a whole piece on this album because it deserves it. It's so amazing. But that's that when the war is over is just stunning, and that has that feel too. And Let It Dwellin' really sums it up. And it talks about the summer of 1982. Headed for the cross to sink a few, in Sydney town there, and brilliant, really emotional song about the two roadies that lost their lives, and you can feel it in the band. It's just one of the greatest moments that you ever hear, and Mossy just killing it. But so there you go, guys. I wanted to share. These albums have always, for me, sounded like Australia. They also remind me of summer, coming into some better weather. So there you go again. Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust, Aussie Crawl, Sons of Beaches, and Cold Chisel, Circus Animals, right? Brilliant. So, yep, there's heaps of others. So let me know your thoughts and examples. And we'll catch you next time. And rock on. Cheers.